That's my ambition.
All right. As a prominent lawyer, I know you must have handled several cases. Well, I would like to make reference to your first appearance in court.
Yes.
Can you remember or tell us your experience and what particular case you had to handle at that time?
Yes, the first case I handled was is a case of a man that was accused of a criminal offense, and I was to stand to argue his bail application. And I did not know how to go about it. But luckily for me, I had a senior in the person of Joseph Oshoke. Oshoke is still a practicing here in Ikeja jurisdiction. He was my senior, I think a year or 2 years senior. So he told me how to move the application. That I should apply, that my client should be granted bail on very liberal terms. And that is when I heard the first word, liberal terms, And I felt in love with the word liberal terms, So when it was time, the client begged me to really help him because, one, according to him, he did not have any lawyer, and he felt that I would be able to stand for him. So he agreed to pay me if he gets out. So I succeeded in moving an application for his bail, and he was granted bail under very liberal terms. I also helped in processing for him to come out because it was a time that when you move for bail application, you can perfect your bail in the same day, but it's no longer possible now under our condition we're operating now. The accused person must certainly go to prison before you perfect his bail condition because they have made it more elaborate in terms of fulfillment. So I moved and he was granted, and then he eventually came out. But unfortunately, he didn't pay me. He told me that he didn't have money. I said that the following day he's going to come and see me and pay me and all that. He never did. That was the first case I handled, and it started with pro bono. So that it was handled free of charge, they didn't pay anything and all. But the experience was tremendous for me as a lawyer. It was very, very tremendous for me as a lawyer. But the most important one that I cannot forget was my experience in Kano, which is where I went to do my youth service. In the law firm of KC Ubani & Co, where I was posted to, I came to inherit a case where they have levied execution against our client. And we have to now file an application to set aside the execution, that it was improper. And being a copper, I was entrusted now to go and move that application to set aside the execution itself and get the man out of trouble. I went, and the lawyer that I met was a very senior lawyer in Kano. He was the one that came to oppose the application, with his counter affidavit, And that lawyer today is my good friend. He's a senior advocate of Nigeria now. He was made senior advocate of Nigeria, I think 3 years ago. I could not believe it when I moved my application for setting aside. The court there and then adjourned to chambers, in order to go and write the ruling. Came back and read the ruling, setting aside that particular judgment and the execution that was levied. I couldn't believe it. And that same day, we were able to take back all the properties that have already been carried to the court.
Interesting.
When I came back, my principal could not believe it. My principal in the person of KC Ubani could not believe that, So he now said this lawyer is going to go places and all that, start having confidence in me. Before I came back to Lagos, I've already handled matter to Court of Appeal in Kaduna of a student that was caught while he was cheating. And I went to court because they dismissed him, they expelled him from the University of Maiduguri. Because the man who caught him was also a member of the panel that sat to expel him. I felt that was a breach of his fundamental right to fair hearing. You can't be a judge in your own case. But the judge at the lower court refused because his son was a lawyer for the university. We didn't know until after the case, so we have to appeal. And then I went to Court of Appeal in Kaduna. The case was still pending until I finished my service and came back to Lagos. So even at the corper level, I've already appeared before the Court of Appeal in Kaduna, as a young corper. So it's been a wonderful time, as a lawyer. So these are my first experiences I had, when I was called to the bar. And they were beautiful experiences, As I told you, imagine moving an application for the first time and the court granted you that application. It will make you to have your confidence boosted. You feel that with this you can go places as a lawyer, as a litigation lawyer, as an advocate of law and all that. And it has actually really helped me. Anytime I remember that my first appearance, the court granted my order, it boosts my confidence most of the times in court.
That's great. Good to know.